What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Crown Jewels. I am your host, PLD, and this is the podcast where we take you on a journey through the entirety of the Queen catalog. And at the end of the albums, we also talk about their live concerts. This is one of those times because we're reaching the end of the game. Looking forward to Flash Gordon. But first, we'll take a small break. Not going to listen to anything specifically today, although there's a track I'm going to talk about. But it's what I'm going to save until later. I'm talking in circles. You'll find out soon, I promise. Let's get on into it. Now, in reality, there were 6 legs of the show. 49 in North America, 18 gigs in Europe, 5 in Asia, 10 in South America, for a total of 82 gigs. However, these dates were from 1980 to 1981. Now, what I haven't talked about too much yet is the aforementioned Flash Gordon album. The game and Flash Gordon were both recorded in similar time frames around the same time, and Flash Gordon was actually released at the end of 1980 for the second album that was released by the band in 1980. So the first two legs of the tour is what I'm going to talk about today. Even though the game tour does go through 1981, I'm going to save the Asia and South America parts of the tour for the post-Flash Gordon album. As it really, even though technically it was supporting the game, it was really also supporting Flash Gordon. Now, I will admit this isn't the perfect divide because during the second leg, which we're going to talk about, North American leg was first, Europe was second. During the Europe leg of the tour is when Flash Gordon came out, and there were some Flash Gordon songs that were put into the set list there. So, I mean, theoretically, that's what should have been the Flash Gordon. It could have just done the North American side of things. But I figured the game was really supported heavily for North America and Europe. Then we'll get the rest of them for the Flash Gordon album. All right, the game, like I said, it started in June 30th of 1980, and it went into Vancouver, Canada first. It's June 30th, 1980. It flew through Seattle, Portland, San Diego, Phoenix, 4 dates at the LA Forum. Oakland got 2 dates. Memphis, Baton Rouge, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, Greensboro, Charleston, Indianapolis, Hartford, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Providence, Portland, Montreal, Toronto, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Omaha, St. Paul, Ames, St. Louis, Rosemont, Detroit, Richfield, Glens Falls, Syracuse, Boston, before finishing out 3 dates on September 28th, 29th, and 30th in Madison Square Garden. Now, this tour was known for being the first tour where Freddie Mercury had his famous mustache grown out, and quite frankly, he would often play with the audience, ask the audience what they thought. Usually the audience gave kind of a mixed reception. They kind of liked their long-haired, clean-shaven rock and roll stars. He often usually would say, basically, fuck off, and he would pledge to keep it. All done in playful setters, or playful ways, of course. Some audience members would actually throw Bic razors onto the stage. Kind of became a humorous sight for sure. It's interesting that if you listen to the bootlegs and the live versions of these songs, the earliest parts of the tour, he kind of sounded mostly like his 70s tone. But kind of midway through, he started changing it to a more aggressive style, to kind of like, it just felt more forward thinking. Like, because his voice does change a little bit, becoming instead of that breathy falsetto thing he used to do, or the breathiness of it, the ethereal side of things, became more of a rocker, straight full-blooded rocker in the 80s. He had also smoked a lot of cigarettes, and that would give him this huskiness to the voice that he liked. Your miles may vary on that one, whether that was a good idea or not. I still say he's got a great voice either way. So whatever worked for him worked for me. I got to tell you that much for sure. Now, a typical set list for the World Tour, which is really the North American tour, had the Jailhouse Rock was the first song they played live. Then they went to a fast version of We Will Rock You, Let Me Entertain You, Play the Game from the Game album, made its debut during this tour, Mustafa, Death on 2 Legs, Killer Queen, I'm in Love with My Car, Get Down, Make Love, Save Me from the Game, Now I'm Here, Dragon Attack from the Game, and then it went from Now I'm Here into Dragon Attack into a reprise of Now I'm Here. So Dragon Attack was right in the middle there, as the Queen likes to do those medleys for sure. Fat Bottom Girls, Love of My Life, Keep Yourself Alive, Instrumental Inferno, including a Brighton Rock reprise, a little bit of a guitar solo and other instrumental jam session going on. A crazy little thing called Love, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, Tie Your Mother Down, and the first encore would be Another One Bites the Dust, their big hit from the game. One of 2 big hits, obviously, but Another One Bites the Dust into Sheer Heart Attack, and they would finally close out with We Will Rock You and We're the Champions before leaving the stage to God Save the Queen. There were a few tracks that were played scarcely throughout the tour. You're My Best Friend made some appearances. Need Your Loving Tonight made some appearances from the game. Rocket made very few appearances during this part of the tour. Somebody to Love and a part of 39 would be played. And the famous story at one of the concerts in Inglewood is where Michael Jackson is recommended the band release Another One Bites the Dust as the next single, and the band did eventually do it. Now, I will say that Ratty, one of the famous roadies from the band, disputed that and said it was actually the road crew that suggested that Another One Bites the Dust be a single, and that it was just sounded better that it came from Michael Jackson instead of coming from, the road crew. But either way, somebody convinced the band to make it a single, and that's why they started playing it during this tour. Now, the European tour, much shorter at this point, this leg was 17 gigs long, started in Zurich in Switzerland on November 23rd, 1980. Went to Paris, France, Cologne, Germany, Leiden in the Netherlands, Essen in Germany, Berlin, Bremen, then went to the UK for Birmingham, 2 dates in Birmingham, 3 dates in London, 2 dates in Brussels, a date back in Frankfurt, Strasbourg, and finished out on December 18th, 1980, in Munich. This is where Flash Gordon started making its appearances here. Typical set list included Jailhouse Rock Again, We'll Rock You Fast version, Let Me Entertain You, Play the Game, Mustafa, Death on Two Legs, Killer Queen, I'm in Love with My Car, Get Down, Make Love, Save Me, Now I'm Here, Dragon Attack, Now I'm Here Reprise, Fat Bottom Girls, Love of My Life, Keep Yourself Alive, Instrumental Inferno, Flash's Theme, The Hero, also from the Flash Gordon album, Brighton Rock Reprise, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Bohemian Rhapsody, Tie Your Mother Down, and then the encore of Another One Bites the Dust and Sheer Heart Attack, second encore of We'll Rock You and We the Champions, and finally, of course, going out to God Save the Queen. Although there was a few times, a couple of concerts, according to QueenConcerts.com, that they actually swapped the encores and put We'll Rock You, We the Champions before Another One Bites the Dust, Sheer Heart Attack, and maybe Tie Your Mother Down. I don't know. I don't know where they get it from. I have a bootleg that does that. I don't believe, although I have listened to many bootlegs, so I might be misremembering for sure. I'm glad they didn't do it for very long though, because it just doesn't seem like a Queen concert without ending with We'll Rock You, We're the Champions. To be completely honest, there were a few tracks played scarcely. Need Your Loving Tonight made a few appearances. Battle Theme, an instrumental from the Flash Gordon soundtrack, made an appearance, and most famously, in the song that I am going to talk about a little bit here, John Lennon was killed on December 8th, 1980, and Queen created a kind of a quick arrangement of Imagine and played it the night after he was murdered, played it on a handful of dates after that, including the final night of the gig. There are some recordings that have made it. I was thinking about just talking about that song here, because this is the first time I did it. However, in 2005, Queen and Paul Rodgers got together, and they actually released a version of Imagine that they did at one of their gigs in that time period. And that was as an officially released version. I thought that was the place I should put that. And then I'll get into the Imagine bootleg that Freddie did back here. However, if you don't want to wait that long, because it might be a long time before I get to 2005, we're only in 1980 at this point, I did put a link in the show notes down below for Imagine if you want to take a listen to that now. All right, back for more. That's actually the end of this. That's all I really have to say about these concerts. We'll get into, again, the rest of the gigs that were basically around the same time and goes into 1981, including a very special 1981 gig at Montreal, which is a very famous one, as I've talked to you about that many times, Queen Rock Montreal. That's a totally different setup for that one. I can't wait to talk about that, but that's not for a little bit. First, we got to go through the entirety of the Flash Gordon soundtrack. The band did a lot of instrumentals on this, but also had a couple of great songs, famous songs, fun songs, and we'll get into that starting next week on Crown Jewels. Now, if this is your first time here, hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about all the songs I'm doing. Take a look into everything I put forward song-wise and tell me what you think. What is your crown jewel of every song? What do you think about these gigs? And if you like it even more, join me up at patreon.com/PLD Projects, where you can listen to these episodes early. I'm recording this episode actually 2 weeks before, I believe. I'm actually recording it before the last episode comes out. So if A Human Body comes out, I'm actually recording this one next, and I'm going to put it up on Patreon right away. So you'd have two versions of Crown Jewels to listen to this week, well before it comes out on YouTube. And that's how it goes with Crown Jewels. I tend to do it early, so I tend to get it out to the Patreons pretty quickly. So you can do that if you'd like. If you can't, though, I get it. I totally understand it. I mean, it's tough times for sure, but you can like, you can subscribe, you can leave ratings and do all that stuff. And I do appreciate you guys for taking a listen to me here. And I hope you enjoy what you hear, and I hope you learn something. But that's it for now. Stay tuned again. Next week, Flash Gordon begins, the Flash Gordon soundtrack. We start with Flash's theme. And until then, keep yourself alive, guys.